Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. I am joined by the power, the wonder, the man that is Ash Matic from Savva. How are you, Ash? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right, man. I don't know whether I'm looking forward to the summer or not, but you know the football rumours keep the mill going, so it's all good fun. It's all good
Yeah,
fun. So welcome to. I mean, today we're gonna have a conversation about not Spurs.
yeah,
We'll talk about some of the transfers that are going on, or rumoured transfers that are going on across the Premier League and across Europe. Of course, this show will involve Spurs transfers. However, let's get a manager and a director of football first, and then we can start buying players. So what we're going to do each day, different sections of guests, and Ash is welcome to join every day. But what we're going to do each day is pick whatever the topics are that day, have a look at some of the transfer rumours. Ash, I want to start. I've got 5 or 6 to talk about today, and I'd love to get the view of everyone in the chat as well. So welcome to everyone in the chat. Please please subscribe to Football Heritage TV, and also go over there and smash the subscribe button for Southview Coys. Any questions you've got, put a Q, then ask the question. If you want it guaranteed to be read out, put super chat, and 50% of the money goes to British Heart Foundation. So, Ash, this guy has dominated football for nearly 20 years. He's just left PSG. And now there's lots of conversations about Lionel Messi, whether or not he's going to be going to Qatar for 400. Is it Qatar or Saudi Arabia, whoever's offered him for 400 million a year, versus Xavi's Barcelona. And Xavi has said, I have been speaking to Leo. I have told the owners I want him back. He's perfect for our plan. Ash, does this make sense? Can someone turn down 400 million for the love that is the club where they had their entire career?
it depends what our priority is for him. I mean, he's already a legend. He's already a GOAT in the eyes of football. He's done it all.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really need to go and prove anything. And I know obviously him and Xavi are close. When he was a youngster, he came up through the ranks, and Xavi was there to help him along. They played alongside each other, and he won many trophies. So now that Xavi's in charge, it makes sense that he actually wants him back. But in terms of Lionel Messi, I've heard they've offered him like the amount of the property that he has is like a small village where he can fly in his family, his friends, you know, the dog, the cat, whatever you call it, they've all got somewhere to stay. So literally, I heard that it's this life-changing type of like a property that they're trying to give to him. So I mean, he has a lot already, so does he even need that? So it's one of those things. It's up in the air what he does next. It's who knows? Because Ronaldo, he went for the money. He kind of just said, yeah, you know what? Even though Ronaldo's kind of forced out, and that situation was slightly different to Messi's, I'm not too sure which way Messi will go. For me, I'm a football romantic, so I would like to see him back at Barcelona because I still think he has a little bit to offer. Where Ronaldo was a bit more geared on pace and on the shoulder of, in the box, sorry, not on the shoulder, but in the box, cleaning it up. And Messi kind of plays like a playmaker, can sit deep and dictate, etc., etc. So
Messi's reinvented himself, hasn't he? Throughout the years, he started as a kind of winger, then sort of floated into a off the front man type role, and now he just sort of he does what he wants. He sort of comes into midfield, just give me the ball, let me dictate the game. And I think the World Cup showed everyone that this man, people are writing him off. Yeah. He's not the same. He's terrible. I think he turned up at the World Cup and went, all right, let me show you. And it helps that he looks a bit like me.
I thought you looked more like McAllister.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, listen, I look like the whole Argentinian national team. But look, on a serious note, look, I'm like you as well. I'm a football romantic. I would love to think that Messi goes back to Barcelona. It was almost heartbreaking to see when he left how upset he was because he didn't want to leave, and it was all a bit strange. But I mean, it's a very young Barcelona setup now, and they've just lost in the last week or two. They've lost Sergio Busquets, who has left, so a lot of wages will be freed up there. Jordi Alba has left as well. They're talking about players like Ferran Torres leaving, and potentially Rafinha and Kessie, and they can make it happen. But I think Messi's experience, I reckon he would go straight in as captain and would start running the show again. That's
100%.
only my. What do you
100%, 100%. I don't think they're going to have Messi come back. You know, all those wages, do you know what I mean? He's being offered elsewhere to then say, yeah, you know what, mate, jump on the bench. Nah,
yeah, yeah.
No way. Messi's 100% starting. If he's going to be taking up that deal, he's going to have some type of assurances that he's going to be guaranteed a certain amount of football time. So I think basically Messi not walks in, but he starts. He definitely starts.
Yeah. I mean, and the scary thought as well is Messi assisting Lewandowski is quite frightening. Then you've got Pedri and Gavi and De Jong behind that. You know, that they've got some options there. You've got Ansu Fati, who's now back from a very long-term injury. They've got Araujo at the back, who I think is a fantastic defender. So Koundé's a young player relatively as well. So the future could be quite bright for Barcelona. Do you see the draw? I mean, look, 400 million is a lot of money. Right? If anyone offers me 400 million to go and live in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years, I'm all over it. But I've not done what Messi's done, and I don't have his riches. So is there any draw, or do you think that would be almost like a sad way to end it, like how I feel about Ronaldo's career right now?
It depends how you look at it, because I think Messi is just a legend in his own right. And just to kind of carry on his legacy, if he stays at Barcelona, he'll definitely do that. But if he goes to Saudi Arabia, I think he'll be like one of the first football billionaires if he does it.
Wow.
Because 400 million, that's no joke. He's gonna get to that billion mark real quick. And so maybe he's thinking about that, like being a billionaire. That status in itself is going to create more, I think, marketing, advertising revenues and different streams. Because if you're just in the Forbes magazine as being the all-time most expensive player of all time, then that in itself is something to be looked upon. And it depends how he looks at the money. If he's a guy where he's not phased about the money and he just loves playing football, then Barcelona is an obvious choice, because he wants to play at the highest level, playing Champions League week in, week out, playing in the Liga, playing against the best, and still doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's an interesting one. Let us know your thoughts in the comments about Messi. The one thing I would say is I think he really shut up a lot of people at the World Cup, and I was so happy that they won it. Obviously, you want England to win it, but I gave up of hoping of things like that many moons ago. But I've never seen a bloke single-handedly carry a team to a World Cup the way he did. I know it was a very good team performances, but his individual brilliance throughout the games was just absolutely magnificent to see. And I personally don't think we'll ever see another player like him again.
Before the World Cup, was you a Ronaldo or a Messi kind of guy? Which one was you?
Do you know what, right? I've always hated the Ronaldo and Messi debate, so to speak, because I think they're both brilliant at what they do. But Messi's always been more my type of player. Unselfish, can run a game as well as score goals, as well as assist. The dribbling, you know, the way he glides past players, the way he gets hacked down game to game, gets up and just plays on. And one of the best, if not the best passer of a football I've ever seen. Some of his passing is just ridiculous. So for me, it was always Messi. And I think he showed that at the World Cup. So, hey, that's just me. But listen, if you're offering me either of them in my team, I'm not turning, maybe now, but like I'm not turning them down in my all-time great team. So who was you? Was you Messi or Ronaldo?
For me, like everyone's arguing about the point with, you know, Messi only did it at Barcelona. If he was in Premiership, you know, would he be different? Would he contend with Ronaldo? Ronaldo's done it at multiple countries, multiple clubs. That's what the argument basically was. But in terms of technicality, as you said, the way he used to dribble, And the way he used to shoot as well, we often forget how his finishing ability was. Left foot, right foot. He could finish with either foot, but his left foot especially, the outside of the box. I've seen a compilation where it's just him finishing outside the box only in Champions League, not even La Liga, just in Champions League alone. And it's ridiculous the amount of goals he scored from outside the box. Now, I look at Ronaldo, and I'm not saying that he hasn't got like amazing goals and he doesn't, score bangers, but in terms of like shot ratio, like as he got older, a lot of them came with inside the box, the 6-yard box, the penalty spot around that kind of area mark. But Messi as a finisher was just truly remarkable. Not only that, his vision of passing, like the way his weight of pass, like you said before, the way he could find players on the pitch and his actual link up was just absolutely phenomenal, out of this world, in my opinion.
I'll tell you why as well. Do you know why I always discredited the can he do it in the Premier League debate? Every time Lionel Messi played against English teams, he destroyed, like people would say, oh, but on a wet Wednesday night at Stoke, what would he do? He'd get 10 goals. I don't know. I don't know. Like, this whole they'd kick him. What, like he's never been kicked before in his life? You think that at the time, the likes of Shawcross are going to kick, like, you think they're going to get near Lionel Messi? It's madness. And
they're not.
I saw a stat the other day. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like Messi's played against English clubs. God, was it something like 28 times? He's played 28, or was it 38 games? Something like that. And his goal contributions in those games was something like 39. And it was like, crazy. He really struggles against the top teams in England, let alone the really rubbish ones.
Remember what he did to us against, what's it called? Walker Peters, sorry.
He was phenomenal that night, wasn't he?
At Wembley.
He was phenomenal. And he
just
stuck,
showed me levels.
He stuck 4 in against the Gooners. And I think Wenger came out afterwards and said it was like PlayStation. It was like they just couldn't get near them. And listen, for me, I'm not knocking Ronaldo. Look, Ronaldo for me is one of the greatest goal scorers I've ever seen. Whereas Messi's the greatest footballer I've ever seen, because he does the goals, the assists, and he's a team player. And that's what I think Ronaldo's not.
It's like the debate with at the moment you got Kane and Haaland, and everyone's like, no, Haaland's a better goal scorer than Kane, and people are like, no, but Kane's a better footballer. Do you know what I mean? All around, Haaland's still got a lot to learn. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think like it's a slightly different argument, but I could just see the parallels slightly. But I just feel with Ronaldo, the way I saw it, I remember when he came against Man United in a friendly. I think I watched it. I can't remember what channel it was on. And he was at Sporting, wasn't he? And he came as a young strappy lad, bare spots in his face, red dots.
Yeah.
Floppy hair. And I just remember he just did crazy steppies. Just steppy. But he had no end product. And then I remember when he came to United, Fergie just sorted him out. He just said, it wasn't the first season, I think it was the second season. He said, if you get 21 goals, like I make a deal with you, you have to shave your head if you don't get 21 goals. But if you get 21 goals, you get this or something like that. And then Ronaldo went and he got the 21 goals. So for me, it was like he had to work hard for his level. And then when he went to Madrid, he kept working hard. He went up another level.
Sure.
He went up another level. He went another level. When Messi stepped on the stage, Ronaldinho had the crown on. I remember he had the nice crown on, set Messi up. Messi comes along, does a lob, offside.
Yeah.
Ronaldinho's like, don't worry, it's okay. Gives him the exact same ball. He does the exact same thing, and he scores a duplicate of that goal, a replica. Save it. On his debut, I said, the king has landed. I said, this guy's different gravy. Yeah.
I honestly, as I said, I'm 40 years of age. I've never seen anything like it. I haven't. I've seen, obviously, many players, but what I will give credit to both of them for, and I know we've gone slightly off topic here, what I will give is both of their longevity is simply amazing. There are lots of players people chuck into debates. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not belittling any of these players, by the way. When you look at Maradona and all the issues he had, when you look at George Best and the issues he had, the Brazilian Ronaldo, sort of came, he didn't have that longevity. These two, from about the age of 17 through to what are they now? 35 and 30, 37, 38, whatever.
Yeah, 38.
They've just dominated, and I've never seen that. And it will be a sad day for me when Lionel Messi retires. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But look, Ash, let's move on. Let's move on from Messi. By the way, all of these are reports from Fabrizio Romano or David Ornstein in the last 24 hours. So these aren't things I'm making up. By the way, I'm not just going, I think that Spurs are going to buy, James Ward-Prowse. I'm not making them up. I want to talk about an interesting one here. Aston Villa have made a bid for Asensio of Real Madrid. And for me, that just kind of typifies the rise in the last sort of 6-7 months of Aston Villa. I mean, Unai Emery will know him well from his time in Spain. But Villa going to clubs like Real Madrid and taking play, I mean, that seems like a really ambitious move and a good move, right?
Yeah, the kid's not old. He's not like they're getting a 30-year-old or 31-year-old or someone that's just like out of it. He's come from a top club, played Champions League week in, week out. He's played with top players, so he's going to bring that pedigree if he was to go to Aston Villa. He's a player that we were actually linked with at one point. And I remember like people
who weren't we linked with, Ash? who have we not been linked with?
I'm just saying, like, obviously when we were Champions League, I'm saying when we were back in the day. But basically what I'm saying to you is like the levels, they've got like Coutinho, Asensio comes in, and I just think, wow, like they're going for it. Now they're in Europe, they've got the kind of manager that they're not elite manager, but a top manager in Emery, and they're able to attract better players and elevate their level. And they've got the owners in as well that not just have money, but they're not afraid to kind of show and spend money and back their support their manager. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think this is a top signing. I think it's a statement signing as well. So
I do.
I really think it's a statement signing.
By the way, people, I'm aware. Sorry, my terminology probably wasn't great. I'm aware he's on a free. What I meant was, the fact that they're going to get people who have been at Real Madrid for this long. I just think is a statement, and I think you're right, Ash. Unai Emery's. I think he's a fantastic manager. And I'm saying that just in case Henry Wright is watching because it's his favourite manager in the world. But look, on a serious note, Unai Emery's a fantastic manager. He's won multiple trophies. I wouldn't put it past. I'm not saying Villa will win the Conference League next year, but I bet you your bottom dollar he gives it a damn good go and takes them deep into that competition. And I think when the other players at Villa start seeing signings of that ilk come in, I think that can only be good for them, right? That can only 100%. Be, they've got owners that want to spend money as well. They've got a manager who knows how to win. Listen, I'm not saying Villa are going to win the league or anything next year, but they're setting themselves up for a nice season, aren't they?
For me, it just shows ambition. Do you know what I mean? When you get a player, any player from like Real Madrid, it's just telling the team like, we're not going to a player that, as Danny Rose said, you're typing in Google and having to do research to find out who that player is. Everyone straight away is going to know who he is and what he's done, what credentials he's bringing, what titles he's won, what trophies he's won. And you're just going to have like a player that straight away people are going to be not in awe of, but they're going to respect and think, oh my days, I can't believe we're getting this player. So it's going to definitely raise the level in the dressing room. Everyone's going to be excited. It's going to be a buzz. And I saw a video yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, and it was of Ramsey, right? And they're inside the coach. I don't know who's filming, but all the Aston Villa fans, they're out on the street. They're like parade. It's like a massive parade. And it's like thousands of people with flares, welcoming them back because they've got Europe for the first time in 13 years.
Yeah.
And Ramsey says, "What? All of this for conference?" It made me laugh.
I'll tell you what. I think they've got the nucleus of some really good players down there as well. I like the left back they bought there in terms of Moreno. It was Moreno, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Moreno. I don't mind Matty Cash either as a right back. I know he's been injured, but I like Matty Cash. I've always been a huge fan of John McGinn. I think he's a really good, solid
with
Premier
Conte.
League midfielder. Then you chuck in next to him a Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah.
Then I think they've got some good stuff going on there. If they can add Asensio, maybe add. I think they need more depth at centre half away from Konza and Mings.
Yeah.
Which I think they tried last summer, right? But the guy got injured immediately.
Yeah.
The Brazilian centre half.
I can't remember his name. I know you're talking about, because a lot of them rate him higher than the actual centre back pairing at the moment. Right? They rate him higher than Mings. I heard a lot of Aston Villa fans talking about him, saying, "Oh, we've missed him a lot, and when he comes back, he's going to be a great addition."
Yeah, I want to say Diego Carlos off the top of my head. There we go. Yeah, there you go. That's got Diego Carlos. So look, they've got some good players there. I think they're going to be a decent outfit moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing that ever happened to them was bringing in Unai Emery. So look, that's one to watch for, Asensio. Moving on, Vlahovic. It has been rumoured that, I say rumoured, this is what Romano has said today, that Bayern Munich are weighing up the option of buying Vlahovic from Juventus. Now, of course, Bayern Munich lost Lewandowski last year. They've definitely not looked the same this year. I mean, they've still won the league, but they've definitely not looked the same. And it's very difficult to replace Lewandowski, right? It's, him, Kane, Benzema. You don't replace them very easily. Would Vlahovic make sense?
They need a centre forward, don't they? So I think it's the right transition for him. Players that they have at Bayern Munich could well be suited to Vlahovic. I think he's a typical number 9. We saw how deadly he was for Fiorentina. It hasn't quite happened for him at Juventus. But Juventus haven't really been doing well because they've had so much going off the pitch, so much surrounding them that's been maybe a distraction for the players. And at Bayern Munich, at least he'll be settled. I know they've had their own kind of mishaps now as well with their board as well. But it'll be interesting to see if he could do some damage up in the Bundesliga.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought that the move to Juventus under Allegri football for me is always a bit static. Listen, I'm not making excuses. I've not seen him in and out there, but I feel he could flourish, Vlahovic. I think he's got a lot of the right tools to be a top centre forward. He scored a lot of goals at a young age. I think that could be just what Bayern Munich need, in terms of they've talked about a massive rebuild. Bayern Munich. They've talked about a massive rebuild. They were who did I see talking today? One of the German reporters on Sky saying that they're looking for a centre half. They're looking for a defensive midfielder. They're looking for a forward and another quick wide player. And you think, wow, they've got like Leroy Sané, they've got Musiala, they've got Kingsley Coman. So if they add Vlahovic and another quick forward to that, and a defensive midfielder alongside Goretzka and Kimmich, it's pretty scary, isn't it, that squad?
Yeah, I think it's a level up from Juventus, to be honest with you. It was a very poor season for him. He scored 10 goals from Serie A, and I expect him to do a lot more after he had that kind of monster of a season at Fiorentina. He hasn't really he's failed to reproduce that at Juventus for some reason. But I think at Bayern Munich, I think he'll be a danger. The Serb.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult, isn't it? If we just one question on the German league, one quick topic on the German league. We're coming to this guy in a minute in Bellingham. But if Dortmund are losing Bellingham, if Bayern Munich, who have just won the league already, then add a top DM, they then add a Vlahovic. I can't see any way in which anyone wins that league other than Bayern Munich for years to come. Hey, it is what it is. But apparently Cancelo is not. They're not going to trigger any clause to buy Cancelo. Does that surprise you?
Think Bayern Munich don't really like to spend massively. I feel like, even though they want all of these players, etc., but I just feel like they identify a player. They don't really get into a pricing war or bidding war, and the money's in Prem. So if Brighton want to get the most money for Caicedo, then they're better off selling to another Premiership team as opposed to selling outside of Europe.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
There's got to be something about Cancelo, right? Because Cancelo was dropped from the
Oh,
Portugal
Cancelo.
team.
Sorry, I thought you said Caicedo. Caicedo.
Oh
Cancelo.
no,
Oh,
sorry,
Cancelo.
Cancelo. Yeah, yeah,
Cancelo. Sorry. The 70 million. Oh, yeah. They're not going to trigger that. Either way, it's still money.
yeah.
Point still stands.
Your point stands just with a different player, yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at Cancelo, he kind of lost his place in the Portugal team.
Yeah.
Then he came back, lost his place in the Man City team,
Yeah.
and then was loaned out to Bayern Munich. And everyone was going, "What are you doing, Pep? You're crazy. You're mental."
Yeah.
But I feel like there might be something not all there with this guy. I'm not talking about his football ability. He's clearly a top footballer, but maybe an attitude thing, you think, with Cancelo?
Apparently there was a bust up on the actual training ground. That's the reason why he dropped him. And with Pep, it's a thing where if you disrespect, he drops you straight away. Before you know it, you're sold or you're on loan. That's how he doesn't play with that. He constantly drops players, constantly rotates players all the time. And I think that's why his teams work, because unlike Spurs, he's not afraid to he's not afraid to with us, we always start the same starting 11. He doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's how he keeps his players fresh, keeps his players on his toes, makes them competitive. And that's why they don't burn out towards the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, let's be fair. For whatever people want to say about Pep spending money, everyone spends money, but his man management of players is absolutely second to none. He knows exactly. I remember when he was at Barcelona and people were questioning him because he gave away. It was because he sold Yaya Toure. And people over here were like, I can't believe Pep did it. And it was like, well, Pep knows what he's doing, right? He must have better players. And hey, it is what it is. But also, I forgot, yes, as someone here, I forgot, they've also got Serge Gnabry. They've got Sadio Mane. So Bayern have got some Bayern have got some players. But what it does go to show, I suppose, at Bayern this year is, football is not played on paper. And what I mean by that is when you look at their squad, they should win that league by 20 points. But when there's upheaval at a squad like they've had this year, like Chelsea have had, like Spurs have had, I feel it does more harm than good to be changing things up when you're that good at, in the middle of a season.
Definitely.
But yeah. So anyway, listen, let's move on. I want to talk about an English player, two English players I want to talk about now. This one looks like it's edging closer. Romano said it's edging closer. Jude Bellingham to Real Madrid. I've been really surprised, Ash. The more I've spoken to people about Jude Bellingham, who I think is an excellent footballer, lots of people going, "Oh, is he that good? I don't think he is." And I'm like, I'm not with that. I think he's, what is he, 19? A physical athlete, and for me, is a top central midfielder. What do you make of him going to Real Madrid? Because they've got the two old boys there in terms of Kroos and Modric. And then they've got the three youngsters that play centre mid as well in Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and Valverde.
Yeah.
So, do you see Bellingham going straight into the 11?
Yeah, it's a tough one, to be fair. Yeah, it's a good point, Savva. I think
I'm not out here messing about these days, Ash.
Yeah, no.
All the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, no, it's not a straightforward answer. I thought, he definitely walks in, but the way you just named the players, I mean, with too many, he can play multiple positions. Yeah. And I've seen Valverde being dropped before. Like, I remember, I think it was against their last game in Champions League against Man City. He didn't start, which I was surprised on. So Bellingham has got a chance of starting at Real Madrid. And if he's a big money signing, then, which I assume it is, I'm assuming it's in the 100 mil plus mark, then I think he will start, to be honest with you. And I think he's one of our best generational talents, because he's a player that can defend in midfield. Positionally, he's very astute, disciplined as well, can carry the ball, physical, good feet, good dribbling ability, and can talk as well, because he's a lad, he's very intelligent. He can articulate himself very, very well, holds himself well as well, but has end product as well, can pass, can shoot. I think the guy's got it all, and he's only like 19, 20 years old. He's a lot more to come from him. I think when he's at Real Madrid, and he's around those players, he's only going to get better. I think the likes of Modric playing around Vivaldi is going to help like progress his game so much more. I just think, yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for me, I think the difficulty is if you go to Real Madrid at that age, it's a big pressure. But from what I've seen from this kid, look, let's be fair. At the age of 16, he went to another country and slotted straight into the Borussia Dortmund. We're talking about the second best team in Germany here. We're not talking like, no offense to any club I mentioned, he's not gone to Hoffenheim. He's not gone to Mainz or whatever, has he? He's gone to Dortmund, slotted in at 16. He's made himself an England regular. I think it's a wonderful move and really good to see English players going to some big clubs because I don't think we see it enough, if I'm honest.
We don't. Like, since the likes of like Hargreaves, Steve McManaman, Michael Owen, David Beckham, those are just few to mention, but we don't have many imports or players that, from UK soils that are kind of going to other countries and kind of ripping it up and going to like top teams as well. It's not just like Dortmund. He's going to Real Madrid, the best team in world football. So it's a massive statement for British football, I think, and he's waving the flag high. And like, I kind of wanted him to go to Man City to be developed by Pep for that reason. Yeah. But looking back now, now that I'm seeing that he's going to Madrid, I think it is the right decision for him. I think he might not be the same player as at Dortmund and walk straight in. I think he might need a season to bed in a little bit. But then again, it's the La Liga we're talking about. German league's a lot faster, a lot more aggressive than the Liga, I think. And I think if he goes into that league, I think his stature, his physicality, his size, his speed, if he uses that to his ability, those are his strengths, then I think he could be a real problem. Like Modric is not going to play as many games, I don't think, as he did this season, next season. I felt like this season Modric was kind of like, especially like when I was watching Champions League anyway, because I don't watch that much La Liga, but I saw him come off a couple of times in a couple of games. So I don't know if they're trying to like slowly push, Bellingham, like if he does come in like a player in like a his ilk into the starting 11.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with all of that. And just quickly, a side note. By the way, if anyone's got any questions, please whack them in. I've got a couple stored up that I'll go through in a minute with Ash. And any super chats, just remember 50% of it does go to the British Heart Foundation. Just some manager news. Luis Enrique is currently in Naples having talks with Napoli. So it looks like another one coming off the books. Won't go deep into that, but I just thought I'd mention that. And a deal that Fabrizio Romano has just announced that is edging very, very close is Ruben Loftus-Cheek to AC Milan, which I think is a wonderful. Huh?
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you make of that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful move. I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek is such a talented footballer. I think whenever I watch Chelsea, he seems to be one of the better players.
Yeah,
strong, composed, good on the ball. Good engine, injuries, right? Yeah. Injuries seem to have hampered his career massively, but good move going out there to Milan, right?
Very good move.
I think that's a good move.
I think like Tomori going out to AC Milan was good. So if he can follow in those similar footsteps, I think it'll be an amazing story for him. I think he'll do well there. And it's a slower league, but more technical. So I think they will help him on things that he needs to sharpen up. I just like to see a little bit more end product from him. I think that's what was missing from his game. As a number 8, defensively was good. Mobility wise, he could get across the pitch. He could impact games, but I just wanted him to have that end product in terms of shooting or the final pass. Like a midfielder kind of takes charge of the game and kind of gets to that next level. I just wanted to see that a little bit more from him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There is just something very likable about the way he plays, though.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But again, I mean, it's not a bad system. If you're AC Milan, just let Chelsea develop some youngsters and then go and buy them. I mean, it's a wonderful platform. So look, good luck to him if he goes out there. Look, let's get a couple of questions that we've got. If anyone's got any more, please feel free to put them in. Put a Q at the beginning so that I know that it's a question, because otherwise it will get missed. Yes, Benjamin, I do call Loftus-Cheek good and call Skip poor, because Ruben Loftus-Cheek is 100 times the footballer Ollie Skip is. Let's be really, really honest about this. Jesus Christ, the things I have to hear on these YouTube channels. Ash.
Yeah.
Question. Strasbourg Steve, big up Steve, hope you're well, my man, has said, who should Newcastle recruit to cope with the UEFA Champions League and make a deep run?
They should recruit Madison, and
no brainer, right?
Yeah, I think a Madison at Newcastle would be not a game changer, but it'd help push them on in the Champions League, and even possibly a Harvey Barnes, just in case, just for squad depth. I think Harvey Barnes would be good for them. So I think like a pairing of them would be good at Newcastle, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Steve, let us know what do you think Newcastle need? Because look, I like Newcastle. I think Newcastle got a very good team, but I do think there's a huge difference between playing once a week to now when you start having to do all the travelling and playing twice a week. Players get injured more. Players need more rest. So you are going to have more than, for example, more than Shah and Botman at centre half. You're going to need cover there. You're going to need more depth, I think, in central midfield, more depth in the, as Ash said there, more depth in the wide areas. And I think James Maddison would suit Newcastle down to the ground. Him, Guimaraes, and maybe another top defensive midfielder would be a wonderful triangle.
Yeah.
And I will be well jealous. but hey, I'm jealous of most clubs. But thanks for that, Steve. The next question is Devo. I'm not even going to answer you, mate. Go away. Much love. Devo and I went to college together all those years ago when we were good-looking chaps on the pole. Big up Savva every time. Kane to the Arsenal. Go away, Devo. He's not coming to you guys. And Phil Coyes has said, Van der Sar has stepped down from his job at Ajax. Could we potentially go for him? I don't see why not, Ash. I mean, this is what's happening at the moment, isn't it? Any manager or director of football that loses their job right now literally goes straight into the odds, the bookies' odds of Spurs are going to get them. Van der Sar, director of football?
Oh, director of football.
Yeah, not as manager. Not as
manager. Not for me. I'm sorry, no.
How about to replace Hugo as our number one goalkeeper? That
was too funny. You know what? Right now, it's not looking good, man. We're kind of starving. So it's getting harder and harder as the weeks go on. We're running out of time. I'm not too sure, but I think there's better out there than Van der Sar as a director of football. But at how things stand at the moment, we need someone. So possibly, yeah, possibly. Like they've got a good recruitment system down at Ajax, so I wouldn't mind like if he was a director of football and he got us an attacking manager and he was like, all right, we're going to do a youth project here. Not as in like in our own academy, but as in terms of we're looking for 18 to 21-year-olds that can play at a certain level, and we're going to use Ajax as a feeder ground or just the Everderies League. We're going to just take the best of that talent into the team. Then I'll be up for it.
Yeah,
I'll be up for it.
Absolutely. Agreed. Sorry, I will bite. I will bite. Savva, don't be so opinionated. Loftus-Cheek 100 times better than Skip. Yep. Loftus-Cheek is a very good footballer that's been hampered by injuries. No one can watch that man play and tell me Skip can do anything this man can do. I'm sorry. I know everyone thinks I'm harsh on Spurs players, but for me, Oliver Skip is a championship footballer punching above his weight. Oh, that will rattle a few cages. Let's see. We've got a couple more questions. What have we got going on here? Here we go. Thanks for that, Phil. It's okay not to be okay, it said. Question. One realistic signing you want for Spurs? A realistic signing you want for Spurs, Ash?
Kudos. I think Kudos is realistic. I think we could get him.
Where's he at the moment? Ajax?
Yeah, Ajax. I think we could get him. I think we could get him. Some people might say no, but I just feel like everyone's looking at like in Madison's, or you're looking at like, you know, players that are a little bit above. I don't think he'll cost Again, it's Ajax. It's Ajax. Ajax. They're not easy. They're not easy. They do like to price us out a bit. Not price us out, but they do like to. I remember with Sanchez, we had to play our arm and a leg
God.
for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me
like
step back
Kudus.
from Kudus. That's what I would like. I would like a Mohamed Kudus, but then again, because it's from Ajax, I'm not too sure if we could get that one over the line. I think for a centre back, I would go for this. Not many people have heard of this guy. I like him. His name is Tassoba. He's from
Tapsoba's at
Tapsoba. Bayer Leverkusen.
Leverkusen. Yeah, good
Leverkusen.
player. Good player,
Central
Tapsoba.
defender. I think that's
Yeah.
what we need. Like more than I know we're screaming for an attacking mid or a playmaker, a 10. But I just feel like defensively, that's what we need right now. We need someone that can play at the back. I think he's good at like 1v1s. He's good. He's physical. He's fast. He's got good agility. He's good at winning the ball back. He can play left-sided centre back or right-sided centre back. He's quite fast as well. He's got a bit of pace about him. He's got that experience as well in Europe as well. So I think we could go for him. I like his dribbling. He can dribble out from the back. He can pass out from the back. He's got some of the best passing stats in the defense. Go on.
Do you know what? When I watched Tapsoba, and obviously he plays in the same team as Hincapi. And Hincapi's the one that everyone seems to rave about. But when I watch them, I'm always more impressed with Tapsoba than I am with Hincapi. Now, again, I'm not being too harsh. Hincapi's 20, so, he's got time to learn and grow. But for me, it just goes so sometimes these names that go out there in the ether, like everyone just goes, oh, my God, Hincapi. Yeah. If you actually watch some of these teams, there's top players all over the pitch. The two wing backs as well for Leverkusen. I really like the two wing backs for Leverkusen. But again, I think this all boils back down to Ash, doesn't it? The fact that, whoever the next director of football is for Spurs needs to have this scouting network out there and find these players.
I think it's the case as well. What do we need? I think last summer we made a mistake and we prioritized in areas that we didn't necessarily need to go for. And I think this summer, hopefully we've learned our mistakes and we prioritize getting those centre-backs in. I think centre-backs, because we've conceded 62 to 64 goals in the league this season, surely we must focus on that area first. Getting a goalkeeper, and obviously Lloris looks like he's on his way out. So I would literally go for a goalkeeper and 2 or 3 centre-backs just to kind of steady the ship, because this is going to take a long while. This is not an overnight project. It's not going to be a one summer type of thing. So in my opinion, I would focus on, I think our strength is in up top. We're scoring a lot of goals. And I just think if we had a stronger defense and we played higher up the pitch, I think you'll see a lot of players play really different. I think because we play so far back, we don't have, I know why we play so far back. It's to create the space in behind and so we can run into it. But I just feel like if we were a little bit more front-footed at times, especially against teams that were better than, I think we would have a few more positive, more results. And to have that type of football, you need centre-backs that have pace, in my opinion. You need centre-backs that can run, that can defend as well.
They need to be agile, right? You need to. I think these days, if you are, this isn't just it. I'll be honest, not just in the Premier League. I think as football has moved on, I think if you are not quick, you need to be technically brilliant. Yeah, you know what I mean? I think if you're not quick or technically brilliant, I don't know what you're offering. And I agree with you. And for years we've watched Davis a bit one-paced at the back. Look at Longley's very one-paced at the back. We need an injection there. But let's. I've got a couple more questions that we can go to. Just quickly, this isn't one of the main ones, but I did want to address this. I can't see any way, shape, or form, if I'm honest, that Laporte would want to join Spurs. I might be being harsh, but I think the drop from City to Tottenham when we're in this disarray, I personally don't see it. What do you think, Ash? Any chance?
I thought there might have been a chance if we got Enrique in. That was the reason why I thought maybe that's why I kind of linked it. But now knowing that he's going to Napoli, it's a hard one. We've got no manager, no director of football. All we could do is guarantee him that obviously that playing time, but yeah, I can't see it. If maybe if Nagelsmann came and he looked at it and was like, yeah, maybe it's a project, and we sold him a dream, because I think Levy's really good at selling dreams for some reason. Like lots of managers, we've able to attract a Mourinho and a Conte, two top managers, two winners. So if we could if he can, wiggle his way around attracting a top director of football and a top manager, then there's a slight hope where we could probably attract Laporte and say, look, it's complete. Remember when Newcastle started up, I was thinking they're not going to get Ramirez, no way. And he went to them. I was shocked. I was like, so they must have just sold him a super project. And when Newcastle got taken over,
but the difference surely there, Ash, sorry to interject, is Newcastle at that point had been taken over, right, by the owners when they brought in Guimaraes, and they literally can turn around and go, hey, we've just bought this club. Here's how much money we're going to spend in the next 10 years. Here's all the other. We're also buying Alexander Isak. We're also going to buy all of these people. I think it's a lot easier to sell than, Tottenham. It's Daniel, because it's still Daniel Levy, isn't it? That's the problem. Who's going to believe that there's a vision?
Yeah, I think obviously there's a lot of bad press at the moment in the media about Daniel Levy, and I agree. I think also it's not just what we hear on the outside. I think internally a lot of chats are happening. I think a lot of the agents, let alone the footballers, I think the agents all talk, and they're the ones that are dealing with the clubs, not the players. And so if it's his agent, if it's Laporte's agent, it's a completely different conversation, because is he really trying to engineer a move for Laporte to Tottenham? Even if Tottenham come asking for him, the agents are going to be like talking to the other agents and say no.
Do you know what? I just think, and again, I hate saying this because this is my club, I just think there'll be so many better clubs across Europe for Laporte than Spurs. I think straight away Newcastle stands out to me as going into the Champions League. Look what they're doing. Imagine Laporte alongside Botman. I think Liverpool, if they wanted another centre-half. Chelsea, if they wanted a centre-half. I was going to say Man United, but it won't be because of Man City. But do you see what I'm saying? Like these clubs coming up could.
I was going to say even Arsenal, because Arsenal got the link with Arteta. Man City, they fell into them. Arsenal spend money. That's what, like, Man City want the money so they can go on and purchase other players, and then on top of it, Laporte will see his mates in Jesus. He used to work with Arteta, so the links there already. They were in the Champions League. That to me makes more sense. And obviously they failed because when Saliba, I know he's a left-sided centre-back in Laporte, but I'm just saying when they lost Saliba and then Gabriel was not many games, but when they lose one or two of those defenders and they had to put like Holding instead, that made a huge difference to their title running. And so I think Laporte makes more sense for them, for them to go in, or for Laporte to go to Arsenal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, we can't rule out Spanish clubs. I mean, for me, he'd slot in perfectly at Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? Real Madrid, there's reports that Nacho might not sign a new contract, so they'll need another centre-half in that. You know what I mean? So, but look, listen, I'd love Laporte at Spurs, by the way. I'm not knocking it.
I
would love him. I just can't see it happening. But if it does, hats off to whoever the new director of football is. A couple of comments here. So Philly 2109. I'm going to ask this in a different way, Phil. So you have said, what signings do you see Arsenal making now they have Champions League football? Do you think they'll behave like Spurs? I want to tie this in. I want to talk about my point first and then come back to this, Ash. So the next player we had down was about Declan Rice.
Right.
And then we'll do Declan Rice to Arsenal, then talk about the other Arsenal ones to answer Phil's question. The reports that it's a race for Declan Rice between Arsenal and Bayern Munich. Does Arsenal make sense for Rice, and does Rice make sense for Arsenal? Put our jealousy aside and our hate for them aside. Doesn't that just marry up completely? Those two going together.
Yeah, they need Xhaka's gone, so not gone, but he's more or less going.
Yeah,
Smith Rowe's the next in line. They want someone that's an 8 that kind of has a bit of more of an end product, like a bit more attacking, and Rice has a bit more end product.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
he obviously was in the relegation battle for a long period of the season, um, and it just for what they want and what they need, it is a fight. It is a perfect fit for them, but yeah, when you've got the likes of Bayern Munich coming in, it's a tricky one for them. It's a bit of a sticky one.
yeah. I suppose it all depends. I mean, if Rice wants to go abroad, I
Mm.
mean, will it like you said earlier, do Bayern Munich want to be paying £90 million for Declan Rice?
But
I
then
mean,
also you've got to consider Casado because that was the original player that they were going to go for, wasn't it?
sure.
So
But Arsenal fans are telling me they're going to go for both. Arsenal fans want a midfield of Casado
yeah,
and Rice with Odegaard in front of them, which is
yeah, because
scary.
I'm assuming that because when Party gets if he gets injured, then there's no one
Mm,
else to come in and fill in for him.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then obviously they do need a replacement for Xhaka, so that's the reason why they're saying Casado playing the DM, doing
Mm,
what Party does, and then obviously Rice doing what, and they can interchange as well because I think with Casado he's an all-around player. He can do a little bit of everything. So, and I think
mhm.
that's the reason why he's so highly regarded.
Yeah. Just quickly, we'll come back to that, Philly. We're not going to go. When saying Party and Jorginho not enough, you've got to remember, as we said, Party gets injured. Jorginho's a certain type of player for certain type of games. El Nenny's not fancied, and Xhaka's going, so they do need to mix it up there. I mean, other players I've seen linked with them. And to answer your question, Phil, I hope you're well, mate. By the way, to answer your question, I don't think they will behave like Spurs. I don't. I think that they will be serious about this. I think they're going to attempt at least to get the likes of Gundogan, to get the likes of Rice, Casado. I wouldn't rule out a cheeky bid from them to for Vlahovic as a centre forward.
Mm.
I think they'll do the complete opposite that we do, Ash, when we get in the Champions League.
Yeah, because if you look at it, when they missed out on the top four, they went straight away, and they got players that kind of went straight into their starting 11, whereas we kind of went for squad depth as opposed to getting players that could affect our starting 11. So I look at that history and I'm thinking they're looking to boost their starting 11 again. And I think they're going to go for a player like the PSV player, Xavi Simons or Simmons. He's tearing up that league at the moment.
Yeah,
He's
good
got
player.
19 goals over there. I know it's a lower league, but yeah, he's quality. I think he's like 21 years old.
Yeah,
And
good player.
he,
There's so
he
many good players, Ash, all over Europe. And I tell you what frustrates me is, and everyone can watch what they want, but it's when fans who only watch the Premier League and they hear a name
yeah.
and go, who? And you're like, oh, what? Like, what do you mean who? That guy's brilliant. You know, like that. What do you mean? Like, but yeah, look, Arsenal, look, catching City is tough. You know, City
Mm.
had a mediocre first half of the season and still won the league. So if Man City don't have a mediocre first half, it's going to be impossible. But Arsenal, to their credit, look like they mean business and will know more in the next 8 weeks, right? So,
I think personally, I think the league is I know some people say the league's average, but I personally think the league's getting harder. I think Brighton have really stepped it up. I think they've really shaken things up, and I expect
mm,
them to affect how the top six perform. I know Brentford's record as well against the top six was immaculate,
yeah.
so I expect those teams to like take points from a lot of the top six teams next season. It's gonna be an interesting one, in my opinion.
Yeah, do you know what I've said is I think the Premier League is tougher than ever to get top four. I just think the quality at the top of the league outside of Man City isn't what it used to be. But the scary thing is United potentially about to have Qatari owners. Newcastle have got their owners who are going to put them into drive. Arsenal are spending big and they're catching up. Liverpool, will be back. Like they'll be back. Chelsea are going to spend again, and now they've got pot. So it's going to be a very interesting league next year. but I'm already going to call Man City as the champions already.
They're just another level. They're just another level. And also, it's because they've got two teams. They got two teams that are very competitive. And you look at the rise of players like Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish obviously was getting criticised for his price tag and not performing to a certain level. Now, you've seen what he's done this season. He's only going to get better. Do you know what I mean? And players around him are only going to get better. He doesn't even start every game. And Foden as well didn't really have the greatest of seasons. But if you look at the quality of the player, he's absolutely outstanding. And I think next season, he will definitely be back. He'll definitely be up for contention. And I expect City to do more business this summer. No one's talking about what business City are doing.
Do you know, that's a really good point, Ash. All I hear at the moment is, Gundogan might be leaving, and Bernardo Silva might be leaving, and Cancelo, and possibly who we were just talking about, the centre half. Why is his name gone out of my head?
What, for City?
Oh,
for who? For what team?
Oh, Laporte as well. But yeah, you're right. We don't hear who has Pep got up his sleeve, and you just know that when Pep buys them to replace whoever leaves, you know that they'll be good. You know that they'll need a year to settle. You know that everyone will be cussing them next year if they don't play every minute of every game. And then, in 2 years' time, they'll be absolutely brilliant. and the cycle continues.
Even that player, sorry to cut you.
You're good.
Alvarez, I think he's a great player. I think next season, people are going to start talking about him a lot. I think
he's a sub-striker, and look how good he is. It's mental. He's got like 18 goals in all competitions this year. He's 21, I think. Someone will tell me in the chat if I'm wrong. He's just won the World Cup. He's just won the Premier League. And in 10 days' time, potentially, he's won the FA Cup and the Champions League. He can retire.
Yeah, it's scary.
He's got nothing left to win.
It's scary. So, that team there for me, and because they're young as well, like obviously Haaland's there, we haven't mentioned him, but they're all young. So I can just see the trajectory just going up and up and up, especially for a coach with Pep. He's going to be demanding a lot more from them. So it's going to be.
By the way, this was a great stat or fact or whatever it is that City used the least amount of players to win the league. The least amount of players there. Hang on, let me start that again. City used the least amount of players to win this season, and they still won the league. So, look, I mean, talk about being able to balance your squad and rotate, to great effect. Let's get some questions. Ash, are you good for time?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. And by the way, people, stop being tight. Smash the like button. Come on, smack this. 190 of you in here and only 58 likes. And please subscribe to South View Coys for Ashmatic, and subscribe to Football Heritage TV if you haven't. And please note that this Friday, 12 p.m. through to Saturday, 12 p.m., we'll be doing a live 24-hour charity stream. For anyone who doesn't realize how tough that is, try staying awake for 24 hours. Now try doing it, talking the whole time in front of a screen with a massive bright light either side of you. Yeah. And still trying to keep your wife happy. So now try and imagine all of that. Right. So join us from 12 o'clock through to 12 the next day. All the money is going to the British Heart Foundation. And the link will be in the chat the whole time. Super chats all the money will go to the British Heart Foundation. And we're going to try and raise 4K this time. We just did just over
Red Bulls, like monsters everywhere.
Just
coffees, drinking on the go.
do you know what? It's actually all right, because the first one I did, I started at 10 p.m. at night, went through to 10 p.m. the next night, right? And that was tough because you're starting in the evening.
Yeah.
You've had the whole day. When I did the second one a few months back, we started at midday. So for the first sort of 10 hours it was busy, it was lively, and it's like,
it's the last
then you get a lot of the Canadian and the American fans that jump in the evening.
Yeah, of course.
And it's that slot between about 2 a.m.
Right,
and 6 a.m. where it's like, this is a tough one. What are we talking about now? But listen, it's all for charity. If we can raise 4K for the British Heart Foundation, then me losing a night's sleep is it's nothing really. Questions. We've got a few from Phil P. Phil P, you tight git. Put in a super chat if you want to mock me. I've seen all your cussing. As said, Should Spurs raid Feyenoord for loads of great young players to make up for Slot standing Levy up? Now, Ash, I don't know about you. I want to be raiding Feyenoord for their young players. I don't care if it's Slot rejecting us or what, just because they've got a lot of talented youngsters at that club.
A lot. I like their centre back. Can't pronounce his name. But,
I know. I can't either. I know who you mean. Yeah.
Black dude.
They're all so young.
They're all young. Listen, I'll take him. Obviously, everyone knows about Kochu, but there's a double pivot that's next to him in the name of Weaver, I think his name is. Decent as well. Decent. I mean, like, there's so many players I would just take. But yeah, their spine. I just take their spine. I'll take their spine and say thank you.
Do you know what? In their last couple of games, right? This is the age of the team that played. So the goalkeeper is 25, right? The right back, Lutzeral Getuida is 22. Mats Vifa is 23.
Yeah,
Hanko is 25. Hartman 21. Timbers 21. This is all in the same 11, by the way.
I like
Koko's 22. Paxal on the right wing is 22. Szymanski is old at 24. Idrissi is 27, like a granddad. And Jimenez up front is 22. Now, I don't care what league you're in. If you're whacking out a team that all of them were 21, 22, 23 and winning the league, that is sensational, isn't it? That's a talented group of kids.
Yeah. I think it's like, because as a kid, you're kind of like hanging on every word of that, what the coach says. You're trusting the coach a lot. You're leaning on the coach a lot. And I think the coach has a lot more influence than he could. I think that's why Poch, sorry to go back to it, the younger players, because he could kind of get his philosophy, his ideas. They wasn't like, what's the word? There wasn't scarred, or they wasn't, when you have to teach someone, but you have to unteach them bad habits. It's harder, but when you're fresh and you're young, you can mold them how you want. You can give fresh ideas to them. And so I think that's the testament to the coach. I think that's the reason why it works so well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Phil, for that. But listen, Feyenoord. I'll tell you what. If anyone's got a good scouting network, get to the Dutch league in general. Even the teams lower down the leagues, you're gonna find some gems, some right gems. But I've always said there's no point picking one or two gems. What you need is a philosophy and an ethos, so that the director of football can keep plucking them every year, and that you trust him. That when a player comes in that you've not heard of, or you're signing from FC20 or whatever, that as a fan you go, I trust them, right? Rather than what we do.
This is my hope that, and it's a bit of delusion, but we all need it as fans.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Messi?
You know what it is? It's the the whole stat thing. I'm hoping. Hear me out. The whole statistic thing, right? Like what Brighton and Brentford do, that Levy said apparently he's going to try and adopt. I'm hoping with that, he just doesn't get involved with the football matters, because it's no longer like, I want this player. No, it's all led by, the scientists, etc. That's my hope. Yeah. I prefer it when you have your scout and it's a mix of both. Like, you got the stats, you got the scout there. Yeah, Quentin Timber's banging. He's a baller from Ajax. That's the guy, man. Not the Feyenoord one. He's a striker.
Yeah.
Quentin Timber.
Yuri and Timber's good as. Both of them are good players, though. Listen, do it. Let's go and get a double Timber. Let's do it. Let's get two Timbers. Timber. Can you imagine? Timber, it would be amazing.
I rate him so. Like, if I was gonna get a player, if I was gonna get a defender, it would be him. I rate him so highly.
Yeah, good player.
Back. I think
there's so many good players, around. I say that Europe, but around the world. Yeah. I'm sure you do. Listen, I think it'll be a great signing for you boys. And let's go to the next question. So, Colin Miller has said Liverpool have reportedly appointed a new director of football. Why can't Levy? Liverpool haven't reportedly. It's done. It's confirmed. And Romano announced a couple of hours ago that already they've put the new sporting director in charge of the McAllister transfer and one other situation. Why can't leave it? I mean, how long you got, Ashley? Are you free for 24 hours? Why we'll do it right now. We'll do a charity stream. Look, this is the question on everyone's lips, right? Is why haven't we got a director of football?
I think personally what it is you are who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to change you, Savva. Savva, you're stuck in your ways. You might be open-minded to certain things, but you are essentially who you are. And I think it's the same with Daniel. Daniel, Philip, Levy, I personally think whether his intentions are good or not, whether he's all about the money or not, whatever, whether he's a fan or not, the way he does business is the way he does business. And he's always looking, for me, in my opinion, an opportunity. The reason why I say that is that's what I've been presented over the years. Whenever we went for players from start till now, we've always tried to get players that are coming to the end of their contracts, that, you know, all of a sudden a team needs to sell, you know, they need funds. Or typically we wait to the end of the season and then we pluck a player out. You know, we suffocate them, we go back and forth with teams, and then we get, that's a dope player. Then we get our man. That's how he does his business. I don't see him changing that anytime soon, even if it's not just players, even if it's staff, directors of football, managers. He's always trying to look at the market and he's trying to get the best price possible, a bit like Del Boy, yeah? That's what he reminds me of. He's trying to get he's trying to get as much juice out of the coconut as possible. So,
yeah, listen, he is who he is. And, you know, we are all who we are. Just quickly, leading on from the SMS conversation, Serge Milenkovic-Savic. Phil Pierce, a question. Serge Milenkovic-Savic from Lazio, which Prem team would he best fit? Could Spurs get him? This is a player, Ash, I've liked for years. This is, for me, he's a complete midfielder. He's got a great engine, scores goals, can pass, can tackle. I like this guy. I suppose there's two questions in there, Ash. Could Spurs get him, and who would he best fit?
Spurs, I don't typically think we spend the money on players like this. I think he would demand a huge wage fee. I think he would suit Liverpool, possibly, because I feel like in that midfield area, they've been missing that kind of general, haven't they?
Yeah,
It's been lacking for a long time with Liverpool. They've got
him, McAllister. I mean, that's the basis of a very nice midfield. Then you've still got Fabinho, Henderson, Elliott, Curtis Jones. You know, that's
we've got the youngsters around them. It's not bad. Like, for me, McAllister is a top player, and he will be excellent at Liverpool. I just want to see him command games a lot more. Again, with McAllister, I want him to really, for the shooting ability that he has, he's got phenomenal shooting ability. I want to see him on the ball a lot more, kind of like demand, even his like passing ability. I want to see him be more of a key passer, creating a lot more opportunities for his teammates, because he's got the ability. He's Argentinian, but I just want to see it a lot more. He just doesn't use it enough for me. But hopefully they can change that. Klopp can get more out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I want to rattle through some questions because every day I want this to be about an hour and 10, hour and 15. So let's rattle through some questions. Quickly, Ashim, we'll do a quick fire round questions. Levy Out has said, do you believe we'll get relegated if we sell Kane?
I don't think we'll get relegated, no. But I think we would suffer for a long period. We would drop down into like 14th.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. I think it's a little bit drastic when people are talking about relegation. But as we've said for a long time, there will come a point when he's played his last game, and that's when we've got to act as a club and find the formation, a philosophy, a structure that doesn't revolve around one man who scores 30-odd goals a season. Thank you for that, Levy Out. Joseph Hallworth, big up. Joseph has said, would you guys take Tarkowski?
Yes.
He's solid and played every minute this season, knows how to defend.
He can play out from the back. He can do switch of plays, can do long balls, short passes, comfortable on football. can defend, old school traditional defender. Yeah, why not get him in?
Yeah, I think for years, I think what's happened is a lot of Spurs fans have craved these big name centre halves.
Yeah.
People talk about Bastoni, Vardial. Said for years, I just want defenders.
Yeah,
Get
he's old school.
me people that put their body on the line. Yeah. They don't need to be flash. They don't need to be Beckenbauer. Yeah. So yes, I would take Tarkowski. Phil P back in and said, I can never see this happening, but could Emil Smith Rowe fit the bill? Can't see it in any way, shape, or form. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Ash.
No, I don't think he's like levels of an attacking midfielder or an 8 that we would, or even a 10 that I think we should even go for. I mean, I just need to see a lot more from him. He's shown glimpse of what he can do. He's a quality player, but because he's been injured so much, again, not for me.
I just can't see
it. It's better out there as well. It's better out there.
Here's an interesting one. Nothing to do with transfers, but Dennis Bergkamp or Eric Cantona. Ash, you go first.
Bergkamp for me.
Oh, this is listen.
Bergkamp for me. Cantona is gravy, but you know what it is? Every time I think of Bergkamp, I don't always think about his goals, but the goals that do spring to mind was that Newcastle one, and then the one when he was at Netherlands when he scored that goal when he takes it down against Argentina, and the one he scored against Leicester when he's kind of running and he takes it the goals like Cantona was dope. I remember him against when he was at Leeds and he was chipping keepers and stuff. His character, I think I like Cantona's character more. Than Bergkamp. He was more of a figurehead, if that makes sense.
Oh, one's an introvert, one's an extrovert, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically. Let me put it this way, Ash. If you and I both had to pick an 11 and we had one position left and the option was Bergkamp or Cantona, I wouldn't be upset at whichever one you picked first and I got the second one. I really wouldn't. These are two outstanding players of which I don't think there's many like this around anymore because Bergkamp was sublime. But you go Bergkamp, I'll take Cantona, but Bergkamp was a legend as well, wasn't he? But class act. Stuart said, why would Feyenoord players give up Champions League football? Look, the only thing I would say is that they're young. If the money was right, but I agree. I mean, if they're loyal, they'll stay. But if they want the money, I'm guessing Spurs would be able to triple, quadruple their wages. I can't see any other reason, Ash, can you?
For me, it depends on the player. If they buy into a project again, it depends who we have as the manager or the director of football. What Spiel said to them, you know what I mean? How much? It's a hard one. Champions League, if it's their first bite, it's a tough one. Yeah, why would you? Because it's your first go out Champions League.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Let's see.
But Premier League's a big pool. I can't lie.
Mo has said, if you end up getting Brendan Rodgers, do you think the fans will protest tipping point? No, I don't think they will. I feel like this. I feel like this guy's getting listen, I'm not saying he's the world's best manager, but we're talking about him like it's hiring Ryan Mason. Do you know what I mean? This is an experienced manager, right? So I don't think that should be the tipping point for getting Levy out. That for me happened years ago and we missed it. That's only my opinion.
I think with Brendan, a lot of fans will be upset. And what will happen is that rather than protest, they'll become disinterested in the football. So if they were until results started picking up, they might, look over the screen. Oh, Spurs are 1-0 up. But I think loads of fans that aren't happy with the board, they would just kind of lose their interest. But I think looking at his records, he has 1 or 2 seasons where he progresses, and then the third season and then he capitulates.
Listen, that could be good. Settle us for 2 years. Could be good. But listen, I think much worse has happened at this football club over the last 15 years, 20 years than Brendan Rodgers signing. But hey, listen, we'll find that sooner or later.
Apparently, he wants to take control of transfers as well. He's very hands-on when it comes to transfers, and he's very demanding of the players he wants.
It's the way it should be. Jack London has said, will there be a meltdown if Kulusevski goes to Arsenal? Ash, I'll go first. I think yours probably very different to me. I would have no meltdown at all. I think this guy is okay. I think he's massively overrated. Could he be a really good player in the future? Yes. Have I been impressed with him at all this season? No. There'd been no meltdown from me, but I can't see him going to Arsenal at all when they've got Bukayo Saka, who's a much better footballer. So that's just my opinion. Ash, where are you with that?
That's a hard one, man. Kulusevski, poor season by his standards, because I think he set real high standards when he first came. I think that's where the disappointment comes in. I think the fall off was massive. Like a lot of the players at Spurs this season, he's not the only one. I think as a team we haven't performed, other than Kane. 11 goal contributions, nonetheless. Still not bad on the face of it. If you look at Matoma, how many goal contributions he had, people are raving about him, how great of a season he had. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but should it just be about goal contribute? This is the problem with stats, is you watch Matoma's all-round game and his link-up play with the other players. I watch Kulusevski. His attitude looks poor. He doesn't track back. It's almost like, I don't know. Listen, I'm not bothered. If we don't sign him, I'm not bothered. If we do sign him, I'm not bothered.
Okay.
It's just is what it is.
Goal contributions aside, from what I saw, people were really harsh on him, I felt, against Liverpool. There was one ball he put into Son outside of his boot. And I said, wow, Son should be finishing that all day. But it was just some of the quality he was giving out. I was like, he still got it. It's just not happening for whatever reason this season. There was a couple of games when he's shooting and it was just hitting the wrong side of the post instead of testing the keeper. It's fine margins, but like, when those goals go in, then everyone's like, Kulu's back. Do you understand? But when they don't go in, then it looks really bad on him. Do you know what I mean? But by his standards, he's had a poor season. I'm not. But
this is where we differ. By his standards is us seeing him for 3 months. That's not his standards. When I watched him in Italy, he was very hit and miss, and that looks like what he is again here. Listen, I don't dislike him, by the way. I just don't. I wouldn't be bothered either way, Ash. If we buy him or not, I'm not bothered. By the way, listen, I do want to wrap up the show before we do a couple of quick ones. David, calm down, mate. When you're saying, you know, why are you still talking about Brendan Rodgers? Look at his record. You are as bad as our scouting team. David, I'm not sure how long you've been watching, but I asked people to put their question in. And they asked about Brendan Rodgers, who is still in the top 3 bookies' favourites to be our manager. So it's very relevant, David, all right? Just relax. No one's... just relax, all right? And last but not least, we'll say Phil P., who has said Ashmatic equals Loftus Road cheek, who is superior to Savva, who equals Skip. And this is why Phil P has no friends, ladies and gentlemen. Phil, let's do an Nando's next week. Look, Ash, thank you very much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. I'll be doing one of these every day because the transfer will start. Yeah. As they start ramping up, it will start getting more and more hectic. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Please go over and subscribe to Ashmatic, Southview Coys. Please subscribe to Football Heritage TV. Please like the show. And as always, here is a video of a team winning a competition, something that we will not see ever again at Tottenham Hotspur. Ever.
And here comes Hurst. He's got some people are on the pitch. They think it's all over.